Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today I created this makeup look using my Morphe X Jaclyn Hill palette. So if you want to see how I created this makeup look, then please keep watching. So first I started off by priming my face with my Illamasqua Radiance Veil Primer. This is a brightening primer, so it just makes your skin look really glowy, especially under your foundation. I just used a soft bristle brush to apply this all over my face. So next I'm using my Freedom Brow Pomade in the shade Auburn to outline my eyebrows. To do this I'm just using an angled eye brush. I start off by lining the underneath of my eyebrow and just extending it a little bit, and then I draw a line at the top of my brow and then I just fill the eyebrow in. Like so. So I'm just quickly combing through my eyebrows with an eyebrow brush. So now to set my eyebrows in place, I'm using my Maybelline Brow Drama. I think it's a eyebrow mascara, and just combing that all the way through the brows just to make sure that any hairs haven't been missed. I'm now using my NYX eye primer, and I am going to set that in place with my RMCA translucent powder. So with this, I just place it all over my eyelid, taking it right up to my eyebrows that we've just done, and then I blend it with a wet beauty blender, and then after that's all set without any creases, I use my RMCA translucent powder. And as you can see, I've got some really small beauty blenders just to make sure that they get into every little nook and cranny on my eyes. It just makes it easier to blend out. Now for the fun part, I'm using my Jaclyn Hill palette from Morphe to do my eyes. So first off, I'm starting with this light translucent, this light transition shade. I didn't get the card with all the names on, so I'm not too sure what they're all called, but I'm using that on a blending brush and just applying that into my crease with backwards and forwards motions. I start off directly in the crease, and then once there's not as much product on the brush, I gradually take that higher and higher. Then next I'm dipping into the shade Pukey. I know the name of this one because I can't forget that name, Pukey. And I'm taking that on a bit of a fluffier blending brush and placing that directly over the top of where I put that first transition colour. next I'm just going back into that first colour that I used just to make sure that both of these colours are blended together. So now with a smaller blending brush, I'm going to combine the two brown colours that I'm pointing to there. Again, I don't know the names. So I'm mixing both of them together and placing that directly into the crease. But I'm trying not to take this one too high because I want to deepen up that crease and not above it. So don't take this as high as where you took the first two colours. So next I'm dipping into this dark green shade. I absolutely love this colour. I'm obsessed with green. So I start off again with that same blending brush I've just cleaned in between. I'm going straight into the crease, again not taking it too high, and I'm focusing this colour more on the outer corner of my eye and then taking it towards the inner corner through the crease. So next I'm dipping back into that pukey shade just to make sure that the darker colours I've just placed down on my eye are all blended out into those transition colours that we used first. It's just to make sure there isn't any harsh lines and make sure it's all blended out. So the next colour that I'm going to be using is this really beautiful shimmery green. I love this colour. I wear quite a lot of khaki clothes and I was going out for a meal with my family and I was wearing like a khaki belt and khaki accessories, so I thought I'd do like green eyes. But yeah, this shimmer's beautiful. I didn't use any Fix Plus and you can just see the shine and the pigment coming out already. So next I'm just going back in with that darker green just to blend out where we've put that shimmer because it's sort of covered it up a little bit, so I'm just deepening that outer corner once again. And once again just going back in with that pukey colour just to blend everything together. And now onto foundation. I'm using my L'Oreal Infallible foundation. Can't really remember what shade this is, but it's one of the lightest ones because I am so pale. So I'm just using a flat foundation brush to apply that all over my face before blending that in with a beauty blender. just before I blend my foundation, I'm just going to use my Makeup Revolution colour corrector just to cover a couple of breakouts that I've got on my chin. So I'm just going to use that green colour and apply that directly on top of the breakouts. So once I blend my foundation on top of it, you won't be able to see the green colour. Now moving on to concealer, I'm using my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in shade NC15. I'm just going to apply this underneath my eyes, down the centre of my nose, again on top of the breakouts, and just a little bit on my Cupid's bow. And then again I'll use a wet beauty blender just to blend all of that into my skin. So whilst I was blending my concealer, my boyfriend and his dog decided that they wanted to make an appearance on my video. So yeah, just ignore this. So like I did when I set my eyes before I did my eyeshadow, I used my RMCA translucent powder, there's Oakley again, just to set that primer. I'm using that once again just to set my concealer. So now moving on to powder, I've left that translucent powder under my eyes just to bake for a little bit. I'm using my MAC Skin Finish in shade Light just to powder all of my skin. Like I said, I'm leaving that translucent powder to bake, so I will put some other powder on top of that towards the end. And there goes Ben again, bringing me a glass of Prosecco whilst I get ready. Moving on to bronzer now, just so that my face has got a bit more colour. I'm using my Too Faced Black Book of Bronzers to do this. So I'm just mixing those two shades that I'm pointing to now. And I do the shape of a 3 on my face for my bronzer. with that same palette from Too Faced and an angled brush this time, I'm going to use that darker shade that I'm pointing to just to do my powder contour. So I do that just below where I did that bronzer. Moving on to blusher, I'm using the MAC Peaches blusher, I think it is. This colour's perfect for my skin tone just because it's so pale. I think peach blushes suit me better. So now going back to the under eyes, I'm again using my Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm dipping into that first transition shade that we used, and I'm just going to put that all along the bottom, like the lower lash line, sorry. And once again, using that darker green shade, I'm just going to take that all the way underneath my lower lash line. Then with a detailed brush, I'm using this dark purpley colour just to add a bit more depth to that lower lash line. Then to make the look a bit more turquoisey, I'm using that colour there on a big fluffy brush and just using that to blend all of the colours in on the lower lash line. Then again, I'm just using that first transition colour just to blend everything in on the lower lash line. And now for the inner corner of my eye and my brow bone, I'm just going to use this first shimmery shade in the palette just to brighten up that inner corner and add some highlight to the brow bone. So now I'm just using the black shade from the palette and just using that to line my upper lash line before I put eyeliner on. So for mascara, I'm just using a Lancome mascara. I'm not entirely sure which one it is. But yeah, I'm just using that all over my lashes, and I've also done some eyeliner off camera. So now for highlight, I'm using my Carly by Belle Deluxe Edition palette, and I'm just going to mix a couple of shades. So I'm using that darker shade, it's like a champagne colour, first on a fluffy highlighter brush and just applying that to my the tops of my cheekbones, the end of my nose and my cupid's bow. And then I'm dipping into that colour there with a fan brush and just placing that on top of where we put the other highlighter just to give it a bit more pop. So now for my lips, I'm using a MAC lip liner. Again, I'm not too sure which shade it is, but I'm just outlining my lips with that before I move on to the lipstick. For my lipstick, I used the matte shade Sin. And there we have it. This is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed watching my first makeup tutorial. Subscribe to my channel for more.